What is up, everybody? It's your boy Herf here, back on the Duel Entertainment channel, and today we got another match up for you boys. And yeah, so basically the way this works is that the green decks are my tier 1 decks, the yellow ones are tier 2, and the red ones are tier 3. And basically I'm going to rate them as favorable, 50-50, or unfavorable, going from left to right. So if Resonator has a good Fire King matchup, I'll mark it green. If it's 50-50, I'd mark it yellow. If it's unfavorable, I would, of course, mark it red. So just to hop right in here. So Resonators versus Fire Kings, I definitely think that Fire Kings should have a bit of an edge. Just because like if Fire Kings go first, right, it's somewhat difficult for Resonators to really like push through that board. Just because like Arvada is so good, all of the hand traps are so good. And plus, even if Fire Kings go second, like pretty much all they need is like Onslaught, and then you break the board. And like Resonators can come back. It's not like as simple as like, oh, Onslaught win, but like you open Onslaught plus like 4 other cards if you're going second. So if you open even another decent card, you should be winning versus Resonators. So moving right along, Resonator into Sidra. I think Sidra is like, I think pretty much all of Sydra's matchups are 50-50, right? And that's why they won Casey Cup, is because like they could just open the nuts and then they beat anything, or they could just brick and then they lose and then just next game. But I think Sydra's in a really like sweet spot right now. I think I would mark this yellow, just because it matters like based on like coin flip as well as like the hands of each player more than anything. Resonators should like dominate Harpies. Like that's like not even a question for me, just because Resonators just have so much more power. They have more recursion. They have more all of those good things. Resonators tend to kind of get dominated by Gaia. That's not really good for matchup for them, and they don't really have a good Onomat matchup either. But the thing is, like Resonator, I don't know. They have versus Triamids. I think it should be favorable. They're just a lot faster than Triamids. So basically, these are like the overall matchup. They have 2 really good matchups, and then they have 3, I would say, unfavorable matchups. The Fire King matchup, honestly, is probably more yellow than red. Just because Resonators have like Scolding and stuff like that. So they have 50-50 matchups versus Fire King and Sidra. Good matchups versus Harpie and Triamids. And then Gaia and Onomat. So to talk about the Gaia matchup first, is like Gaia being able to pop cards and then have back row, and Gaia just has a lot of, I guess, like defensive capabilities that don't just like auto lose to one big monster, which like Harpies and like Sidras and Fire Kings sometimes might lose to a big monster. But Gaia being able to pop and then have a lot of back row is honestly like pretty strong. And honestly, the honestly, if you look at the Gaia cards, they're really bad. So really, when we're talking about Gaia, we're rating like Treacherous and Book of Moon, honestly. And then the Onomats have a good matchup versus Resonator, just because you have like Roach and Bouncer, which basically auto win versus Resonator if you make either of those or both of them in turn 1. You should pretty much win. I mean, Resonator obviously can open book, but like if you have Bouncer Roach, they would need like 2 books plus combo to like win, which is like really unlikely. So, like I said, Fire King versus Resonator is yellow. Fire King should honestly farm Cyber Dragons. Like, this should be a pretty free matchup for Fire Kings, just because they like float so much, and as well as like you play back row and hand traps, and it's just really good. I think Fire King should also be Harpies. I think this is also a favorable matchup. Just because like Harpies, I don't know, they're just not really able to deal with getting their board wiped every turn and then playing through hand traps. Plus Arvada negate is really good, so like Harpie need a considerable amount of text to beat Fire Kings. So moving on, Fire King has a really bad matchup versus Gaia. Like Gaia just being able to shut off. Oh wait, this is bad. Gaia just being able to shut off all hand traps and monster effects in the battle phase is pretty rough to try to play through if you are the Fire King player, because just like the main bonus of playing Fire King is that you're able to run so many hand traps and techs, and then Gaia's like, okay, battle phase, turn them all off. You know what I mean? And then Trimids is also a very bad matchup for Fire King, just because what do you do versus stuff that can't be destroyed? Which is like Fire Kings, they rely on just being able to board wipe the opponent by destroying everything with Garunic. So like, if you can't destroy everything, you just lose. And then Fire Kings versus Onomats, I would say is like 50-50. Like Onomats sometimes just like have the absolute nuts, and but they also a lot of times just don't have any nuts. So yeah, there's that. So Sidra, we said, had a 50-50 matchup versus Resonator. And then Sidra, we said, had a bad matchup versus Fire King. So then Sidra into Harpie. I think that this is a somewhat of a 50-50 matchup. I really don't think either one have like a clear advantage over the other. I think that, like I said, if Sidra just opens up the nuts or goes first with the absolute nuts, there's not much any deck can do versus it. But I think if you take the average Sidra hand versus the average Harpie hand, Harpie should be winning. And then Sidra actually have a really good matchup versus Gaia. I think Sidra might rise up more once Gaia starts, like now that Gaia is more popular. Just because you're able to just pop everything, and Overflow not targeting is really, really good versus Gaia, because Gaia rely on being able to like tag out of their fusion to go into like the super magical dude. And so since it doesn't target, you just pop whatever. Like if they don't tag out, you just pop the fusion. If they do tag out, you just pop the dude that they summon. It's pretty good. And then Sidra into Trimids. Sidra wins just because it's just considerably faster than Trimids. You pop all of their spells and traps, which are their bread and butter, and then you just win. Sidra into Onomats is a very tough one to call, in my opinion. Just because Sidra, I don't know, like, they could win, but they could also just get Hatronated, right? Like, I don't know. This is a really tough one. Sidra versus Onomat. I think it's 50-50. I think it's just whoever goes second. I genuinely think it's just coin flip pog. Alright. Harpies into Resonators, we said was pretty bad. We said that was a bad matchup for Harpie. We said that Harpie had a bad matchup versus Fire King. We said Harpies had a 50-50 matchup versus Sidra. Nice. And then Harpies into Gaia. I think this is a somewhat of a tough one to call, just because Harpies also play a lot of back row. And like they are like a really good going second deck, but I'm not sure. I think Gaia, I may have underrated them a little bit. They might be like more tier 2 than tier 3. Just like if you go based on what we're talking about, they have some good matchups versus in the higher ladder decks. But anyways, Harpies versus Gaia. I've just never played this matchup before, so it's really difficult for me to say one way or the other. I think it would be 50-50 though, right? Like, if Gaia can go full combo and also search the magical dude, I think it would be somewhat difficult for Harpies. But at the same time, if Gaia has anything less than combo plus the magical dude from hand that like tags out, I think the Harpies should win. So I think it's 50-50. And then Harpies farm Trimids, just because they can pop all the back row. And I think Harpies hard lose to Onomat. Wait, no, Harpies hard lose to Onomat. So that's the Harpie matchup. So like Harpie like clearly could definitely go down to tier 3. It really all just like depends upon, I don't know, like this is why you haven't seen him be getting many tourney results. I think that we could definitely switch around Gaia and Harpie and it would both like be accurate as well. So Gaia, we said, had a good Resonator matchup. We said it had a good Fire King matchup. We said it had a bad Sidra matchup. We said it had a 50-50 Harpie matchup. And then Gaia into Trimids, I think pretty much everything beats Trimids. I think the only real reason that Trimids are good right now is because they have a good Fire King matchup and they're just like not bricky, right? Like I think that Trimids have a lot of tech space like for traps. So Gaia into Onomat. I think this is also another very 50-50 matchup. Just because like what I don't know, like what are you really looking for if you're playing Gaia going against Onomats? Like Onomats just have the capability to be able to OTK through literally anything. So I don't really know if I can call it one way or another. And then Trimon's into Onomat, I think that's a I think that's pretty 50-50 as well. Honestly, I think most of Onomat's matchups are pretty 50-50, which is why they're not really seeing play right now. So Trimids, we said, was bad, good, bad, good, and the rest bad. And the last bit here, Onomats had a good, another good right here, and then they just, everything else was 50-50. Yeah, I really don't think Onomat's really hard lose to anything, which is the thing. I think that most of their matchups are like pretty, I don't know, pretty just like depending upon if you go second or not. But this is kind of my conception of the meta right now. I think I definitely could have included Thunders, as well as oh, not true Thunders, just Thunders. I definitely could have included Shira, and then that these are two decks that are like very good and like right on the bubble. I think maybe we could take out Trimids and replace them with Thunder, and that could be pretty interesting as well. I think we might be able to like switch around Gaia and Harpie now that I'm looking at it, you know, on the page. But I think that this is a pretty accurate as well. And then, like I said, you could switch around a few things, but I don't think either one is like necessarily wrong. I think that Gaia could potentially move up over the next couple weeks, just because, like I said, they have good matchups all around. A lot of them are 50-50. But I remember when people, like when Book of Moon was like just released, and right after it was released, a lot of people were like, oh, it's a scam. You know, people aren't even really using Book of Moon. It's not that good. I think Book of Moon is really like coming into, I don't know, dominance right now. I think that pretty much if you don't have Book of Moon, you're kind of irrelevant in the competitive scene. Just because so many matchups are like completely reliant upon whether or not you draw Book of Moon. And I think that its main strength is that it's so fast, and that flipping a card face down, like flipping a monster face down in Duel Links is like a huge, it's like a really good effect in Duel Links. And I mean, it is somewhat in the TCG as well, but more so in Duel Links, I would say. Just because so many of our monsters they rely on being face up, and you normally don't have that many of them, right? Like you normally have like one or two monsters, and then so if one of them gets flipped down, I mean, it's a pretty big hit to your resources. But overall, I think most of these matchups are, like I said, Resonators, Fire Kings, Sidra, Harpie, Gaia, all rely on their access to Book of Moon. And I definitely think that in the future, I mean, definitely not the near future because it's still like a selection exclusive, but Book of Moon might see a hit to 3, honestly, just because it's so degenerate. And it's so much better than Kanadi. Like, people were like, oh, Kanadi is basically Book of Moon. Why would you need Book of Moon? Like, Book is just considerably faster, and it's insane to me. But anyways, that's kind of my view on the meta right now. It's like really like a Book of Moon or win, Book of Moon or lose meta, so that's unfortunate. But overall, thanks for checking out the channel, guys. Make sure you hit like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we upload. I try to do these like every month. Like, so this is like my June meta mashup. So keep an eye out for the next one. Make sure you join the Discord so you know when we upload, as well as go live on YouTube or on Twitch. And that's how you join the tournaments. We have free new player help as well. Make sure you check out the Twitch because Ryan does an amazing job hosting tournaments. Make sure you check those out. Go support him there. So yeah, I'll see you guys later.